Okay, so I'm Carlene Ziegler. I'm the principal of Hoover. This is our incredible counseling team, everybody. And you're going to see them in a video, and we're going to get moving because the video is a little bit long. So, what our main challenges is how we can leverage the iLab 3D process to build a culture of innovation that encourages creative confidence in everyone. Okay? So there's a continuum in working through this. We were looking at that there's a continuum of innovation that happens as you enter into what it is to think about design and think about innovation, and what happens along the way in order to get to a full-fledged internalized innovation culture. So we've been doing a lot at Hoover, but I wanted to think very intentionally about it, and we brought the staff along and making sure that we were touching on places where people hadn't felt that before. So we are looking at 3 separate but integrated components. One is starting with space. This is the concrete thing that you get into and you start understanding and you can see a tangible result. Another is then this idea of functional relationships through flow, where we're really watching how relationships work together. And that's going to be with our counseling office. So there's a lot that they're seeing with flow. And then we were really getting into this notion of how to leverage the 3D process or design thinking in instruction itself. And so we have some work around agency and encouraging students to have the power to act through integrating math and social studies. All of that goes together to really get us into this immersed, internalized culture. So we've got 3 strategies, and one's an ELA classroom, promoting collaborative and student-directed learning. This is an older teacher who's been thinking about things for a long time, but actually we're going to dive in, okay? Flow is all this counseling team. They've been really thinking about how all this works. And in instructional practice, we've got amazing math teachers. We've been really thinking about how students can really make math data come alive so they can use it in a way to make a difference for something that they want to fight for. All right, so here we go. And I am now going to skip a little bit because I wanted to make sure we had enough time. And this is, whoa, where's my sound? Sound.
Be able to express their ideas and share with one another. So this traditional layout doesn't give access to student mobility, and it sort of hinders the kind of student-centered education that we're going for now in the 21st century. As we move into this new period, we want to change some of the classroom situations to fit the new learning styles. So I would like to have a different kind of setup where the students can actually stand if they want to, and they can sometimes pick their learning center, but also that sometimes they have direction as to where they're going and are taught how to work independently in the classroom with each other, limiting fooling around and getting them to see that they can be more independent and having them bring out what they have inside them for learning in this new style where students are given more credit for their intuitive knowledge and what they have to offer each other.
So I'm not tired or anything. This is reality.
Last year, the Hoover Counseling Department, at the end of the year, we came together and did some goal setting. And what came was that we found that we weren't always able to best meet the needs of our kids. And this was in large part due to some structures, like physical structures of the counseling office, including what we call the COD, but would more be known as the reception of our office, and our routines, where students come in more like a hospital when they have needs rather than having an appointment system.
In and of itself, the flow doesn't make sense. with that, so you don't know where to check in or anything of the sort.
I think for anybody who comes into the counseling office, it's immediately noticeable how the flow is off in a way that it's not clear to them who can help them, and then it's not clear to us as counselors who's been helped, or even if somebody is waiting for us, sometimes we won't have any way of knowing that. And so that limits the access of some students.
I think one of our biggest issues is in between passing period and at the end of lunch. With our flow, as students want to come into the counseling office, but they'll come in and then it's usually someone here at COD having to deter them, say, oh, go get a pass from your teacher. Your teacher needs to know where you are.
Right now, I think it really starts the adults in office, like we each have our offices, and if the students could use it more to kind of advocate for themselves, like, oh, if I'm feeling really upset or distressed, like maybe I can go to like a mindfulness room or kind of a cool down room that we have been thinking about using for some of our rooms that don't have a really specific purpose. I think that would be really helpful.
We envision possibly having a quiet room for possibly meditation, helping students calm down, a more inviting space.
So in all of our conversations and all of our meetings that we've had as part of this process, we've started to have a greater sense of what we need to do in the Hoover Counseling Office. And we need to create a more inviting environment, to make it less like a old doctor's office. We need to make it clear where students are supposed to go and who they're supposed to talk to when they come into the office, and this requires a change to physical structures. So we've been taking steps so far this year to try and alleviate some of these issues and find workarounds, but since we've engaged in the 3D design process, we have actually started moving towards finding solutions to these problems.
If I could do anything with math, I'll create a course book.
I'd like to build a statue about like the times of no conflict, so everyone could remember all the times when no one was ever fighting.
I think I'd like to learn a little bit more, about the solar system and about what we know and what we still need to know.
My social studies class is currently trying to help solve the issue of raising teacher wages. And I think that I'd use math to figure out how much we need to raise their pay by so that they have enough money to afford housing in San Francisco.
Do the math, right? He was talking about in the movie The Martian. He's like, I'm gonna math my way out of this issue, right? And that's a cool way of thinking of solving complex problems, right? And so when we're looking at Generation Citizen and we're looking at like really difficult, complex social issues that people want to solve, a cool way to go at that or combat that would be like, do that.
There's also this is like our developmental concept in middle school, is that we're going from specific instances of unfairness to showing that as a pattern. And that's what we do with social studies and histories. We're not looking specifically at the experience of one people, but by comparing experiences of other people, we see patterns.
You can look at things from so many angles, right? And to be able to justify what they're arguing for, and know that the data is not just something that other people use. Being aware that it's something that is used to influence them and their thinking and that, but also that they have that power, that they can gather data, or they can find data and they can say, this is unfair, and here's our proof, or our evidence.
This is why.
And this is why. And we believe that if it changes in this way, there's a correlation over here that shows.
And I feel like it's also, a good way to make it, especially with Generation Citizen, something relevant, something they're interested in. They're using these documents as primary sources, so they're not just reading something from the past, they're making it and then using it, to make an argument. So I think, it becomes a lot more powerful.
We were finding that young people weren't engaging in civics when they became of age, right? Because they didn't have the agency in it. So in having Generation Citizen in our schools and then practicing not only that community agency of civics in their social studies class, but seeing it again in their math class, right? They're creating agency not only in one class for themselves, but practicing civics in two classes, gives them multiple opportunities to practice it.
Yeah. And just for us to potentially have the time and the mostly time, resources to, because I feel like with what we've got, we collaborate really well, but the time to actually deeply look at how to make that as powerful as it can be for them, because just like they experience the class seasons being separated, sometimes teachers are experiencing it as well. It's like, oh.
All right. So I know we are almost there. I'm going to try to turn on the lights. So, again, these are our questions, and it's about a continuum. And these are some of the staff, but what I also want to let you know is that we involved a lot of our staff in this storyboarding of this video. And we did a fishbowl with it, and it was a very cool process. And we want what Sally was talking about is a lot more time to do it. And so we're asking for $21,000 for 3 separate but very clear, to me they're very connected because it's about teaching, design, giving experiences to innovation all the way through so that the counseling team gets a deep immersive experience in it, our math and social studies teams get deep immersive experiences in it, and our English language arts teachers, when they're watching the fishbowl, were so jazzed. They're like, I want to think about that. I want to do that. So we're trying to spread that. And everybody do a honk. No, I'm just kidding. So we wanted you to hear their voices in the video, and they're awesome.